Okay, good morning, Rabbi Sai. Guten Erev Shabbos, Parshas Zachar, Haba Aleinu L'Tova. We're in today's first offering. We'd like to share with you how we connect Parshas Vayikra to the Zman Hashana, Davar, Yafeh, B'itai. At this time of the year, I would like to be idea everyone about a number of very special opportunities. If anybody would like to be Mishtatef, we have a sefer coming up that was completed yesterday on Chinuch Habanim. I think the name will be V'Zakeni L'Gadel. Whoever could figure out why that's the name of the sefer will win a free round-trip ticket to, I'm not sure yet, we'll have to figure out where it's going to be. But if anybody would like to be Mishtatef in that sefer or in the upcoming sefer on Lag BaOmer, which is primed to be completed very close to Pesach for this upcoming Lag BaOmer, or any of the upcoming projects, Tavei Aleichem Bracha. Okay, Davar Yafeh B'itai. Let me share with you the Maramakai. Here we go. Source sheets. Okay. Parshas Vayikra. How are we going to connect Parshas Vayikra to Purim? Usually, Parshas Vayikra is read after Purim. Usually, Vayikra is 2 weeks before Pesach. This year, it's Shabbos Zachar. Worry not. We know that Rabbi Glatstein teaches us in the Kad HaKemach that a person has 5 senses: sight, touch, smell, taste, listening. And they are Keneged the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Rabbi Glatstein doesn't tell us which sense corresponds to which of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, which book. However, Reb Chaim Falaji, in the Hakdama to Sefer Chaim Tchila, he says that the sense of smell is Keneged Vayikra. And that connection is obvious, because by all the Karbanis it says, Ishe Reach Nichayach Lashem, a pleasant aroma to God. In the new editions of Chaim Tchila, he brings another connection between Karbanos and the sense of smell, that all of the words that Hashem spoke from the Oyel Moyed were L'ritzoy, U'lechapara, U'lereach Toiv, the Chatas, the Asham, the Mincha, the Oyla, the Shlamim. They all are associated with the sense of smell. And therefore, how appropriate it is to begin the book of the sense of smell right before Purim in Chodesh Adar, because we know that the sense of smell is very connected to this month and the Yontav of Purim, as the Bnei Yissaschar writes in many, many places, based on the Arizal, that Adar is associated with the nose. The Arizal says that each month corresponds to a different limb of the person. Adar corresponds to the Choitam. And in the nose we have the sense of smell. That's why the Bnei Yissaschar says that the miracle of Purim occurred through 2 Goyalim that are both associated with Besamim, namely Mordechai and Esther. They satisfy the sense of smell. Mordechai is Mar Darar, which Targum translates it as Mar Dachi. Esther is called Hadassah. That's why we find in the Megillah that Mordechai is Vayizak Za'aka Gedoyla. No, he cried out. But what did he say? He didn't say anything. Hakoil Yafeh leBesamim. He's Mordechai. He's associated with Besamim. And we know Hakoil Yafeh leBesamim. Therefore, what could be a more appropriate subject matter to read in the month of Adar, preparing for Purim, then the Sefer Vayikra, Ishe Reach Nichayach Lashem, the book of smell. Furthermore, my friend Rabbi Yisrael Eliezer Levi shared with me a very beautiful connection between Karbanos and Purim. Karbanos is what saved the Jewish people in times of Purim. You remember the Gemara Megillah? V'hakarahiv elav karshana shesar ad masasar shish Amar Rab Levi. This whole pasuk was said about Karbanos. Karshna, the Malachi Asher said before God, Ribono Shel Olam, did they bring before you Karim b'nei Shana? Shesar, the nations of the world, the Malachim said, did the nations of the world offer before you Shtei Shiurim? So what saved us in the times of Purim? Zechus ha-karbanos. The zechus of the karbanos is what saved us. Also on Daf Tezayin, it says Haman came. He was sitting before them, and he was waiting until Mordechai finished praying. He said, Mordechai, what are you involved in? He said, well, when the Beis HaMikdash stood, if someone was Menadeh v'mincha, they would bring a kaimetz and get kapara. Haman said, Asa malai kamsi kimcha didchu v'dachi asar alfi kikri kasba didi. You are learning about the carbon mincha, pushed off asaras alafim kikar kesef. Therefore, to read about karbanos is definitely Yafeh be'itai, because it was in the zechus of the karbanos that we pushed away Haman. Next, we already wrote earlier in Parshas Mishpatim that we always read about the mitzvah of Bikurim in the time of the year that we remember Amalek. For example, in the end of Kiseitze, we read about Zacha Yereis Asher Asalacha Amalek Baderech B'Tzeischa Mitzrayim. We're going to read it tomorrow. Asher Karecha Baderech Vayizani B'Chal. And then we say La Tishkach V'Haya Kisavai. Amalek is juxtaposed to Bikurim, the end of Kiseitze, the beginning of Kisavai. That's why Parshas Mishpatim, which is usually laid in juxtaposition of Parshas Zachar, talks about Meleascha v'demacha loisa acher, talks about Bikurim, because Bikurim is rachis. You want to strengthen yourself in the inyan of rachis by eradicating Amalek, who's rachis. So you would say, well, what are we going to do this year? This year Zachar is Vayikra. We don't read about Bikurim. Don't worry. In Vayikra we also read about Bikurim. In Vayikra we read about the mitzvah of Bikurim, Karban, Reshis, Takrivu, Aisam. That is to counteract Haman. Now, you'll say, wow, those are a lot of compelling connections. I'm going to share with you one more astounding connection soon. But what about most years that we read Vayikra in Nisan? Very simple. In most years we read Vayikra in Nisan. Nisan is Chodesh HaGeula, Chodesh Shenegalu, Chodesh She'asidin Ligoel Ulahakriv HaKarbanos Ha'amuros B'Taras Kayanim. Most years we read Vayikra in the beginning of Nisan, because Nisan is the month of Geula, the month we're destined to be redeemed, the month that we will be redeemed and bring all the Karbanos. Now, in the month of Nisan, we bake and we prepare matzahs. Why do we eat matzah? Why are we zahir from chametz? I once heard personally from Rabbi Glatstein, I was at this year. The reason we eat matzah is because kohanim only eat matzah. The carbon mincha was only matzah. It says about the mincha, Kol ha-mincha asher takriv l'Hashem lo yiseyaseh chametz. So to show every Jew that they're like a kohen, that we're mamleches kohanim. After all, are we not a mamleches kohanim? So Rebbeinu Shalom, He took us out of Mitzrayim to be mamleches kohanim. He doesn't want us to eat chametz. What parsha is that in? That's in Vayikra. So Vayikra already sets the tone and the basis for the reason for the Yisr chametz and the mitzvah of matzah, namely that we should also have a mincha, because we too are like kohanim, because we are mamlechas kohanim. Okay, now one more amazing connection. This is mamish out of this world. Your grandmother, I don't know if she had to shed tears for this one, but she definitely had a daven to be zoiche for this one. I'm going to share with you. There's an amazing tshuva. Somebody sent me this tshuva last night. Let me give him credit. My friend Reb Ruvain Klein sent me a tshuva from the Chassam Sofer. It's a famous tshuva. It's in Arachayim Simin Kuf Pei. And the Chassam Sofer deals with the following amazing question, but first let's examine a Rashi in this week's Parsha. It says, El Pesach Oyhel Moyed Yakriv Oisai L'Ertzainai Lifnei Hashem. By the way, I highly recommend you listen this week and every week to the OU All Parsha Chasam Sofer on the Parsha. Now, I'm going to share with you an amazing Chasam Sofer. What does Rashi say on the words El Pesach Ha'omed Yakriv Oisai? Yakriv Oisai implies he has to. Yachol Bal Karchai, Rashi says, Tamaloymar L'Ertzainai HaKetzad Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyoymar Roitzani. We force him until he says, I want. This is a famous concept. The Rambam writes about it in Hilchos Gerushin. The Rambam says, sometimes we have to force a man to divorce his wife. But a get is only effective if it's willing. The answer is, really the man wants to do the right thing. The thing is, the Yetzer Hara is in the way. So we hit the guy, we subdue the Yetzer Hara, and his real Ratzain comes forth. That's the same thing by a carbon. We make him bring the carbon. But it has to be with his will. The answer is, it is with his will. Why is it with his will? We force him, once we force him, he wants to do it. Okay. Chasam Sofer has the following amazing question. The Gemara says in Shabbos, Mikan Maida Rabba Lo'iraisa. Gemara Peches. The Gemara says that if the Jewish people did not keep the Torah, they have a great excuse. The excuse was that we didn't really want the Torah to begin with. We were forced to accept the Torah. And Hadar Kibluha Bimei Achashverosh Shenemar Kimu V'Kiblu Kimu Masha Kiblu Kvar. Marv Rabbi Sai, did you ever think of this question? Ask the Chasam Sofer, what's the Moidah Rabba Lo'iraisa? What's the excuse we have for not fulfilling the Torah because we were forced into it? Says the Chasam Sofer. What do you mean we're forced into it? But once we're forced, Yakriv Oisai L'Ertzainai. Why was it not Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani? You ever wonder about that? The Gemara says that when God forced us to accept the Torah in Har Sinai, it wasn't binding because it was forced. So what if it was forced? Isn't there a phenomenon, Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani? You ever think about that? How could the Gemara say, well, because God forced us to accept the Torah, it wasn't really valid until Purim. But what about Koifin Oisei Ad Sheyomer Roitzani? Says the Chasam Sofer in the Tshuva is something out of this world. He says, Al Iker Kabbalas HaTorah Me'ikara Lo Shayach Zeh. Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani is only once you accept the Torah willingly, then deep down you want it, then if later on we have to force you, we're forcing you to do what you really want. But on the initial acceptance of the Torah, you can't say Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani. Who says that's really what you want? Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani is only activated when you really want it. Friends, what activated then the process that we have in Kol HaTorah Kula? That a person could bring a carbon, that a person could divorce Ishtai. All of these procedures only work through the lamdus of Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani. But the Chasam Sofer says that's not a true process, because who says you really want it? It only was activated when we accepted the Torah B'Ratzain. So what activates the process? Purim. So could there be a greater connection between Karbanos and Purim? Karbanos are only effective because of Purim. Because we accepted the Torah willingly on Purim, that activates the process of Koifin Oisai Ad Sheyomer Roitzani. And therefore we have the pasuk in Vayikra, Yakriv Oisai L'Ertzainai. Okay, so that is what we call Davar, Dvarim, Yafim, Be'itai. That is the first offering of today. Next.
Recording stop.